Hi, my name is Tom Mullaney, and I'm professor of Chinese history and the history of technology at Stanford University. I'm also director of Silicon. Silicon is a Stanford presidential initiative focused on advancing digitally disadvantaged languages in the 21st century. Our mission is to support communities to build the digital age they truly want to see. So I'm going to introduce two of our colleagues at Silicon who have built out two particular apps in what we refer to as the Silicon app ecosystem. These are Lexray and MockBlock. These aren't the only projects that we work on within the Silicon app ecosystem. If you want to learn more about what we're doing at Silicon and the many partnerships that we have, especially but not limited to our partnerships and collaborations with First Nation, Indigenous, and Native American groups and language communities, I invite you to visit us at silicon.stanford.edu, or you can always email us or me directly at tsmullaney@stanford.edu. Once again, thank you for inviting us and for having us. And now it's my honor to introduce Lexray and MockBlock.
I want you to imagine this. You're on your phone or your laptop today and you see the date August 25th written on your home screen. But now imagine that you're not in the US and that your native language isn't English. It's actually Spanish. That same date isn't August 25th. It's actually now 25 de agosto. Different order and different words. The way that computers know how to handle this cross-linguistic mapping isn't magic. It's actually thanks to Unicode's huge database, as Tom referenced, called the CLDR, or Common Locale Data Repository. It tells your devices how to display dates, times, and words in hundreds of different languages and locales. So without it, our digital world would basically only function in a few of the dominant languages. But here's the problem. Adding new languages to the CLDR is not as easy as it could be. You can't really just provide the translation. You also need to know how the translation is structured, namely the relative ordering of months, days, and years within the expression. So, for example, an expression of the form 25 de agosto would be entered as a single D followed by the word day in single quotes in four capital M's. So if that even sounds a bit confusing, that's exactly the point. For many language speakers, this is one barrier that hinders their ability to contribute data. But that's where my program Lexray comes in. The idea is simple, that instead of requiring contributors to learn how to reformat their translations into complex and somewhat esoteric formatting codes, Lexray does it for them. A speaker just provides the natural translation like 25 de agosto in Spanish, and Lexray automatically converts that into skeleton code that CLDR can understand. And it doesn't just do this one example at a time. It's built with the ability to process batch data, allowing entire sets of translations for a new language to be handled at a single time. This turns what was once a painstaking and manual task into something that is now streamlined and very scalable. The cool thing too is that this tool isn't meant to live in isolation. It will later be embedded into CLDR Academy, which is an online one-stop shop for learning best practices for taking part in digital inclusion efforts and contributing data to the CLDR. So taking a step back, why does this all matter? Well, importantly, it opens the door. So suddenly so many more people can contribute language data without needing to set aside time to learn how to properly format these translations. And community members, not just those internal to Unicode, can contribute their knowledge directly. The impact goes beyond just efficiency and improved accuracy of data, because really now every time a new language is entered into the CLDR, it means that speakers of that language can see the digital world in their own terms and not forced into someone else's. This is about ensuring that the internet reflects the richness of human language, the 7,000, as Tom mentioned, not just the convenience of a very few. So, LexRay ensures our data is correctly formatted for the global standard. But before we can incorporate that into Unicode's international library, we need to triple check its accuracy. That's where my colleague Neve Sidani's MockBlock program comes in.
Thanks so much for the pass off, Daniel. Hey y'all, hope you're doing fantastic. I'm Neve. And before we, get into this, we want to talk about the last project, Lexray. Once we get the output from LexRay, we still need to quality control it before it can be incorporated into Unicode CLDR. So what's the best way of doing that? Visually. As many of you may or may not know, Silicon relies on language contributors to verify accuracy in translation and common data types like months, days, etc. However, this verification process can be really tacky. My project aims to simplify the flow from Silicon to the contributor, providing real-world applications of their language to better explain the context in which their contributions are being used. Here are some of our current barriers. They'll help contextualize things. First, there aren't many tools to automate the creation of UI/UX components. Second, contributors should want to help out, so how might we build an attractive and efficient language contribution initiative? Third, scaling and integrating these projects within Silicon requires lots of steps and iteration. And fourth, how can those who want to develop for disadvantaged languages do so, given that there are little to no design standards for these communities? I want to start by introducing MockBlock. This is an application that takes language data provided by translators and contributors and instantly turns them into real-world, intuitive app mockups and components, nicknamed blocks, so they can see their translation work in context, spot mistakes, and fix them in real time. They don't need to know data science or have any linguistic skills. I built a template system containing over 130 application mockups that you can see on the top left. They take in a sample translated language data set and produce UI/UX components that contextualize how those words may be used. Let's say we want to double check that we have the correct abbreviations of months of the year, like Jan for January, or days of the week, like S for Sunday. Instead of presenting a list in a spreadsheet, at Silicon, we want to present full UI/UX mockups, a calendar UI showing abbreviated months, for example, or perhaps a health tracker app showing abbreviated days of the week. This can then be sent back to the contributor for validation, addressing the lack of UI/UX components for disadvantaged communities and the need for reform in our language contribution system. At Silicon, context is everything. And what better way to embody that than to have real-time examples of how contributor input is used?